Two major names catch the eye among the quartet contesting Group A. Six-time winners Bayern Munich were as relentless as ever in the early stages last season, but a change in manager couldn't prevent Manchester City's procession. Manchester's other iconic club, United, may have a rich history of European Cup success, but simply participating has been a challenge lately. Their last appearance, 2 seasons ago, was ended by Atletico in the round of 16. Copenhagen held their own on home soil in last season's groups, but 3 heavy defeats away from Denmark saw them finish bottom. And Turkish champions Galatasaray are mixing it at this level after a 4-year absence. New players have arrived, and that saw them qualify via the playoffs. In Group B, serial European winners are competing against 3 sides returning to the top table. Despite their group stage exit and lowly 12th place finish in La Liga, Sevilla qualified through their record 7th Europa League triumph last season. Arsenal play their first elite-level European game since 2017, with their young side now challenging in the upper reaches of the Premier League once again. The only previous European Cup winners in the group, PSV Eindhoven, finally made it to the competition proper again via the playoffs after 2 successive failed attempts, and they arrive full of attacking promise. And Lens also make a return after an absence of over 2 decades. They've had their ups and downs in Ligue 1 since they last enjoyed the Champions League limelight in 2002. Among Group C's 4 contenders, a pair of big names stand out. Napoli arrived as champions of Italy for the first time in a generation. They lit up last season's groups, scoring more than anyone else, before being ousted in the quarters by compatriots AC Milan. The competition's most decorated club are next, Real Madrid, with 14 trophies to their name. But last season, the outgoing champions were made to look positively ordinary as Manchester City swept them aside in the semi-finals. Braga returned to the groups after 11 years, but may find it tough going after securing their place thanks to a playoff win over Panathinaikos. While Union Berlin are making their debut at these rarefied heights after a meteoric rise through the German leagues, which only saw them take their place in their domestic top flight 4 years ago. 2 former winners appear favourites in Group D, but their rivals aren't to be dismissed. Twice champions Benfica impressed last season, pipping PSG to the group summit, before departing the scene in the quarters at the hands of the eventual runners-up. That Inter side were the surprise package, old heads guiding them all the way to the final, where they ultimately missed out on adding to their roll of honour by losing to Manchester City. The always entertaining Salzburg are back again in contention after failing to scale previous heights with a group stage exit last season. And completing the set, a Real Sociedad. After impressing in the Europa League last campaign, they have a go at the big time with their first appearance here in a decade. Group E looked like one of the toughest outcomes to call. The 1970 winners Feyenoord make a return to the competition after a 6-year absence. Perhaps the ones to watch, given the Dutch champions' runs in Europa Conference and then Europa Leagues in the last 2 campaigns. Atletico Madrid are the marquee name here, but given their bottom place exit last season, Diego Simeone can't rest on his past laurels. Lazio made it out of the groups 3 seasons ago for the first time in over 2 decades, before Bayern Munich brought their run to an abrupt halt in the round of 16. While 1967 winners Celtic hoped to avoid the rock-bottom finish of last season, only evading defeats against a depleted Shakhtar. It's a familiar adage, but there are no easy games in Group F. Progression likely to be keenly contested. PSG's latest crack at the prize they covet most ended with a round of 16 whimper at the hands of Bayern. But with some stars gone, can Kylian Mbappe stay focused to finally fulfill his promise at club level? 1997 winners Borussia Dortmund also bowed out in the round of 16 last time. The sale of talisman Jude Bellingham a blow to their aspirations. Seven-time winners AC Milan couldn't quite add to their trophy haul. City rivals Inter stopping them in the last four, but the run brought renewed hope to I Rossoneri. A returning Newcastle United complete the lineup. The now Saudi-owned Geordies have hosted some big European nights on Tyneside, but make their first appearance in the competition for 20 years. The presence of the holders provides a daunting prospect for those in Group G. Manchester City finally fulfilled the ambition of their owners in June. Rodri's sole effort enough to finally land that elusive European crown. RB Leipzig impressed in the groups, just missing out on top spot to Real Madrid. But in the knockouts, City demolished them 8-1 over 2 legs. Cervena Zvezda returned to the competition proper after a 4-year absence. Just one victory to celebrate on that occasion, losing the rest and finishing bottom. On their last appearance 2 years later, young boys also finished fourth, though they did claim a famous win over City's Manchester neighbours United in the process. Two former winners hoped their qualification from Group H would prove as straightforward as it appeared. Adding a 6th European Cup to their trophy cabinet might have been expected by Barcelona following their spending spree last summer, but even the return of club legend Xavi at the helm couldn't help them avoid a group stage exit for the second season running. No such problems for two-time winners Porto last season. They topped their group, though narrowly bowed out to eventual runners-up Inter in the round of 16. Given their plight in their homeland affecting them on and off the pitch, Shakhtar gave a good account of themselves, taking points off Leipzig and Real Madrid to reach the Europa League. While it's a Champions League debut for Royal Antwerp, beating AEK Athens in the playoffs to take their place amongst the elite.